My name is Nick Starchild. I help people who look like me, black and brown and queer folks, who want to live abroad, change careers, take sabbaticals, and get their financial education in check. Today, I want to talk about my experience flying from the United States to Mexico for the first time. First time. I have never been outside the country until this past 2 weeks. I've been living in Puerto Vallarta, which I felt was a really good decision to pick a place that was pretty touristy. This is a big port, obviously Porto, and a lot of cruise ships come through here, so it's a pretty good transition in terms of acclimating to living abroad. But I did decide to pick the central part of Puerto Vallarta for my first 2 weeks because I just didn't want to be in the hustle and bustle of the tourists. I just want to get acclimated to the weather, to the people, to the culture. So I decided to come into the central part of town. Um, but I do want to talk about my experience flying because I am a queer, I'm a transgender person, and just want to give some highlights and some insight into what it was like to come here. So first of all, I chose Southwest Airlines, and I know a lot of people have a lot of gripes about Southwest, but I love it. I think it's a fantastic airline. It's very affordable, and it goes a lot of places. It happens to go to quite a few places in Mexico, Puerto Vallarta being one of them. And there's not a direct flight, but there's a connecting flight from where I'm from, which is the San Francisco Bay Area. So I got on a flight in Oakland, which was much more affordable than San Francisco. Got on a flight in Oakland, and took me to Santa Ana, which is in SoCal, Southern California, and took a connecting flight from Santa Ana, the airport in Santa Ana, to Puerto Vallarta. In total, it was probably, I want to say, like 5 hours of flight, six hours of traveling, but it was only maybe 3 hours of actual flying time. So pretty easy commute. I took a morning flight. I want to say like I got on a plane around 6 or something like that, 6 or 8 a.m. And then had my transfer. My layover was like not even 30 minutes, maybe an hour, maybe 45 minutes. Got on that plane and then flew on over here. Very easy. It was quite affordable too. I think I paid one way, I want to say like $200, maybe like 230, something like that. So very, very affordable. Um, I did fly with my medication, and also going through security, you often go through like the detectors that are like the ones that like scan your body, and that's always kind of an interesting situation for me because I never know if I'm gonna get stopped or not. Because a lot of times, like the area of your personal, your private parts goes off for me because there's nothing there. So I have to make sure that I like pull my pants up real tight and make sure that it's like uh, skin to skin, skin to clothes. When I go through it, there's no bagginess in my bottom area. And then if I do that, usually it's fine. I get to go through. But I do sometimes flying domestically. I've found that I do get stopped, and they're like, "Oh, can the TSA will be like, oh, something went off. Do you have anything in your pants?" I'm like, "No, I don't." And they're like, "Oh, we can do a pat down, or we can take, right here, or we can take you to the side and make it private." And I'm like, "I don't care, just pat me down here." So I'll just be like, "Go ahead, go for it." And they pat me down. And sometimes I'll tell them, I'm like, "I'm trans, I don't have a dick." I'll just say it. And they'll be like, "Oh, okay, cool." And then they just pat you down, and you're like, "All right, you're good." And then you leave. So, but this time I didn't. There was no issue going through security. Had no issues leaving Oakland. I did fly with my meds. I have a lot of medication. I was using Folks Health, FOLX Health. I was using them. So I was getting my medication every 3 months, but they would give me like 4.5, 5 months worth of medication at a time. And I appreciated that because they were like, you just never know what's going to happen. There might be a delay, or, there's a lot of legislation going on against trans people. So it was kind of a dicey time being in the US several months ago around medication. So I was able to get I take testosterone. So I had quite a bit of testosterone. I have quite a bit of needles and syringes. I had my blood pressure cuff. So I had a lot of stuff. It's like a bag full of things. So when I went through security, I did ask. I was like, "Hey, do I need to take my medication out?" And they're like, "No, just leave it in the bag." Also, I left my computer in the bag because some airports don't care if you take the computer out or not. So didn't have to take my computer out and really nothing. Just took off my shoes, took off my belt because it did have a big piece of metal in the front. The buckle was pretty heavy, so I took off my belt and went through security. It was fine. Didn't even get stopped. Then I did check my bag because I had one big luggage, and then I have my backpack. So I did check bag. So just had my backpack, went through security, got on, got to Santa Ana, got on my connecting flight, totally easy. They were so nice too. Southwest is like, I really love the people, the flight attendants. They're really great. Um, when we got close to Mexico, they gave us this document. I forgot what it's called, but it's basically to declare that you're coming through. So when you go to customs, I got off and I was like, oh crap, I have to like do that. They have to put like how many days you're gonna be there, and I was like, damn, I have to like count because I was like, I'm gonna be in Puerto Vallarta, in Mexico proper, for a little bit of time. I'm mostly in Puerto Vallarta, but then I'm going to Guadalajara for a week, and then coming back to Puerto Vallarta. So I had to put in like how many days I was going to be, and it was 107. So um, everyone there is pretty much there for vacation. So most people are just like 6, 7 days, whatever. And I get there, I get to the customs, and she's like, "How long are you going to be here?" And I was like, 107. And she was like, "What?" She was like, double tick. She was like, 170, and I was like, no, 107. And I was like, yeah. And I explained, I was like, I'm doing this, I'm going here, I'm kind of bouncing around trying to like figure out what I like. And I was like, and I'm also trying to make sure that I'm not here for 180 days, because I know that's the cutoff. So decided to do like 4.5 months instead of 6 months. And she was like, okay. And I was like, I can show you my Airbnb housing. And she was like, yeah, show me that. So I pulled up my phone and I showed her, and I like moved it around so she could see like the dates and stuff, and see when I was gonna be there. And she's like, "Oh, that's different." She's like, "Most people don't really do that." And I was like, "Yeah." I was like, "I just want to explore and see what's around before I leave." And I was like, but I also wanted to make sure that I wasn't here over 6 months, so I just did 4.5. And she was like, "Okay, well, all right." And then she gave me my stamp, my visa stamp, and she gave me 180 days, even though I didn't need it. But I was like, okay, cool. The person, we were talking through it because everyone else was so easy and fast, because they're just there for vacation. The person behind her was like, oh, what's going on? And she was like, oh, nothing, it's fine, it's fine. But yeah, I kind of unique because most people, like I said, just come here for a quick vacation. They don't stay 107 days. But I'm here because I'm trying to figure out if I want to stay in Puerto Vallarta long term. So I'm staying in places for months at a time to make sure that it's the right fit. And after this, I am going to Guatemala though, so I'm gonna check out Guatemala, and then we'll see what the plans are, if we're gonna continue to keep going down Central America or not, or come back to Mexico. But if we do come back to Mexico, I say we, my partner who's not here just yet. But if we do come back to Mexico, we're gonna go to a different part. We're gonna go to the East Coast and see what that's like. But yeah, and then you leave the airport, and then you go get your bag. Went and got my check bag. It was fine. It was there. I saw them take it off the plane too. So got my bag, and then you go. You don't give them that paper. Actually, you just talk to them, and you give them your passport, and they stamp it. And then you take the paper with you when you leave. There is like money exchanges there too, but I knew that they overcharged, so I was like, I'm not getting any money there. And I just went to leave, and when you leave, you give the paper to the security there when you're leaving. So you give it to them, and then they have this conveyor belt where you put your luggage through. So they're just checking it one more time to make sure there's nothing illegal. They're not really paying attention to it. I think they're just trying to make sure there's no like weapons, basically. So put your little thing through the conveyor belt and the X-ray thing, and then take my bag. And then I knew I had heard and read that when you leave the airport, there's going to be a lot of people who are trying to get you to do like timeshares, to get discounts on things, and get rides and stuff, and it's really overpriced. So I knew that you have to pretty much ignore them. It's a lot. It's literally like you come out and it's on both sides, left and right, dozens of people trying to get your attention. Hey sir, blah blah blah. Like, hey ma'am, hey sir, whatever. Just trying to get your attention. And you're just like, you either ignore them, you just say no thank you, no gracias, like just keep walking. And then you go out, and then you're in the main part of, like, I guess the airport where people can like meet you and stuff. And then there's some stuff going on in there, but I didn't really pay attention. I knew that I needed to leave the airport and go to the Uber pickups area, because it's not outside the airport. It's around the corner on the side from the airport. So I knew that I needed to go out the airport, turn left, go down, and then turn left again, and then you will see a like walkway, basically, like a yeah, it's a walkway. I don't know how else to describe it. But it's not stairs. It's like elevated, like just concrete, and it's not very even too, and it's very the elevation is high, like it's very steep. Okay, so you go up this thing, you go up, pull in my luggage, and then there's a walkway that's flat. You walk across, and then you go down and walk down the concrete. It's an overpass over the street. So you go across the street, and then over there, that is where you call your Uber. And then there were people who were trying to get me to get into a taxi and stuff, and I was like, nah, I am not. I don't speak Spanish well enough to be getting in a taxi and getting ripped off. So just did Uber, called my Uber from the airport to where I'm at, which is like the central part. It wasn't necessarily cheap, but it was cheap for Uber. I think I paid $15, maybe $17, something like that, for the ride. And mind you, I had paid to, and this was like a 20-minute ride. It was not like a short ride, and going to the airport from Oakland, going from my house to the Oakland airport, that was a 10-minute drive, and that cost me $35. Okay, so okay, prices are, cost of living is much different. So yeah, anyway, I was able to get the Uber, get dropped off, and get to my Airbnb and get in. There was keys and stuff in the lockbox. So yeah, that was my experience. It was actually quite easy. I was prepared for what was going to happen. Oh, when I did get across the street to call my Uber, I did notice my phone didn't work, and I was like, "What's going on? I have this Central American, South American international plan. Why is it working?" And then I was like, "Oh," I realized I need to turn on the roaming. So I turned on the roaming, and it was fine. But yeah, everything went fine. Came to my Airbnb where I'm at right now, and you can see the fans on because there's no AC in this apartment, and I am not turning that off. Okay, I already got the window closed so you can hear me well. It is what it is. But yeah, that was my experience flying from the United States to Mexico for the first time. I really enjoyed it. It was very easy, no issues. Looking forward to flying more within the country and then to other countries as well. So yeah, if you like this content, please go ahead and like, follow, subscribe, share, comment, whatever you want to do. Keep it respectful if you are commenting. I'm not here for negative people. I will block ya. Come back for the next video. I will be sharing about my travels. I will be making content about living abroad, how changing your career, sabbaticals, all that kind of stuff. Really care about this topic and really care about making this business a reality. So yeah, look forward to future videos. Thanks for watching. Later.